Welcome, lovely people. Today, we are going to be going through the live stream that the developers of DC recently had on Twitch. So let's start, shall we? Please do keep in mind that this is my interpretation of what they have said, so take everything I say with the slightest grain of salt. The first person to speak is Volterra. It's her first time running a live. I know what that's like. But many of us will know her from Discord. She's very active over there and has conversations with many of us. The first person that she introduces is Pablo the Cat, who is the senior narrative designer and has an awesome t-shirt and an awesome hat. He is responsible for a few things, but one of which is the blogs. They go through them in the live, so I'm not going to go through them here because you guys already know I cover them for you, and we all kind of know how I feel about those. So he does let us know that the reason for the blogs is because they were trying to give us extra narrative, but didn't have enough time to be able to construct something that could go into the game. At least that is what it sounds like. The next person that Volterra introduces is Scott Boyd, who we should all recognize from what I have called the damage control video. Mr. Boyd introduces us to the key art. There are 5 character pieces that are individual, and then all of those pieces are joined together at the end to create the final piece of artwork. The first one is Mogo. It says, Mogo, a sentient planet located in Space Sector 2261. Mogo is one of the oldest and most experienced Green Lanterns in the Corps, but he's not invincible. The next piece is John Stewart. It reads, John Stewart, a seasoned veteran of the Green Lantern Corps. John uses skills he learned as an architect and a marine to keep Space Sector 2814 safe from deadly threats. The next character is Esperanza, someone we will all recognize from the first episode of Light and Rain with the Casnia storyline, and it reads, Esperanza Cavalera, a proud member of the Blue Lantern Corps. Esperanza shines the light of hope where it's needed most. Along with her friend John Stewart, she answered the call for aid on planet Mogo. This one is interesting because Mr. Boyd is talking about how Esperanza has Brazilian heritage and they really wanted to get that right. And I'm not really sure that I've noticed anything to do with Brazilian heritage within the game or the blogs. He does seem to be referencing that the blogs have some of her backstory and information that gives her depth. I haven't seen much depth with this character. In fact, with all 4 of the characters that they've kind of introduced us to, 2 of whom are no longer with us. But, I mean, forgive me if I'm mistaken, but in the blogs, in the game, this is what I know about Esperanza. She is a Blue Lantern who has a sister who made a bad decision and ended up on a killing spree. And she came to help with that situation and is friends with John Stewart and now has gone to Mogo to help with another situation. That's all I know. I don't know about her heritage. I don't know about anything Brazilian in particular. And I don't see the depth that he is talking about. Maybe I've missed something, but I've covered every single blog. I don't see it. The next piece is Amon Sur, and it reads, the son of Aben Sur, Amon begrudged his father and the Green Lantern Corps he served. He became an interstellar crime lord to strike back at the Corps and later joined the ranks of their deadly enemies, the Sinestro Corps. Scott also says that this is our main bad guy, but then tracks it back a little bit, letting us know that there's probably a bigger baddie in the works. Scott also says that they specifically included some very familiar characters, including Mogo, John Stewart, and Amon Sur. I'm wondering if the reason they have been included is because perhaps they had heard the complaints of some of the players who said they wanted to play with actual DC characters. I don't know, but that is kind of what I'm wondering. Then, of course, the last of the 5 artworks is Lucia Cavalera, also known as Reckoning, or previously known as Reckoning. It reads, Formerly the deadly supervillain known as Reckoning, I literally just said that, Lucia now serves as the latest member of the Indigo tribe, bringing the power of compassion to those in need. This is also where Scott lets us know that we are going to be following Lucia in her redemption arc, which is something I don't know how I feel about it, because from reading the blogs that follow the episode we've just played, those blogs have skipped a step in my opinion. There's been no consequences. And I think that that's kind of a necessary step in order for her to redeem herself. I don't really like the idea of someone being able to do what she did and then going straight to becoming an Indigo Lantern, going into training, and then now she kind of has free reign to do and go wherever she likes without consequences for her actions. And I understand the idea that she was not in full control, but I still think that there should be some kind of consequences for those actions that she took. So this is the completed key art. I will say I do think it is really beautiful. Scott Boyd lets us know that it is done by someone who does fantasy artwork and also makes really beautiful female form characters. And I can see that. I really do think this is a beautiful piece. He also kind of reiterates that they specifically wanted it to look like this because they wanted there to be reckoning, or Lucia right front and center, because the story is following her, and also have her twin sister Esperanza there back to back, both fighting evil together. Scott also speaks to something that I found a little interesting. He says it's a story of light and dark, then says green and yellow, light and rain. So originally, I think it was thought by many people, including myself and Multiverse, that light and rain was potentially talking about light being Esperanza and rain being Lucia. But it appears that maybe it's talking about light as in the Green Lantern Corps and rain as in the Yellow Lantern Corps. I am not exactly sure. But I think it might also be, and this is just my own thinking, talking about potentially the duality in Lucia. So the light being the path she wants to take from now on, and the rain being kind of the darkness of the past for what she's done. Which I take issue with because rain is awesome. Also, that's just my own thinking. He does not say that. We can also see that the new chapter for the Light and Rain story arc is chapter 50, Fearful Day. Next, Volterra introduces Glitter, who many of you may already be familiar with. She is the senior character artist. So Glitter lets us see a character refresh for Carol Ferris. It is based off of her current look in the comics, and personally, I quite like it. There's something about her facial expression that I find slightly off-putting. It's probably because her face is like frozen in that position and it's just a little odd to me. But the style I really like and I kind of want it. Then Glitter lets us know which style we are going to be receiving in the newest episode release. It is called Reborn Gear. Scott, I think it's Scott's voice, kind of hints that there was another style that we could have potentially seen in this live, but they are keeping it a secret instead. But I will say, I do like this style. It does look really, really nice. I love the hand and foot wraps. I think I will use those. The shoulder piece is different from anything we've had before because it doesn't go on the shoulders. It appears to be the collar piece that goes around the neck. And I believe that includes the emblem piece at the front. So that round circle that holds an emblem, I believe, is part of it. And we can put it on any style and let an emblem be held right on the chest. They also added a back piece to the Reborn Gear suit, even though Lucia does not have a back piece. And I think it suits it quite well. It's very nice. She also lets us know that the male version of Lucia's style is one that will hold an emblem on the back, even though we can't see one there because they haven't put one on there. It will hold an emblem for the male style. Unfortunately, not on the female style, but her back is very much exposed. There isn't really a place to put an emblem, so fair enough. Also, Glitter's hair, very villainy. We love to see it. Volterra then introduces Red 5. He has a pretty good sense of humor and is wearing an amazing shirt, so we approve. Um, he lets us know something we are already aware of, but basically gives us confirmation on the fact that we are going to be able to have 5 artifact slots coming soon, no date at the moment, and lets us know that when that happens, there will be a lock put in for people who are in combat so that you are no longer able to do artifact swapping during combat. So an interesting change. It levels the playing field a little bit. I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other on this because it doesn't really impact me. I personally don't artifact swap, and I don't care if anyone else does. But I do know that there are a lot of people who are very opinionated on this, and I do feel like something that is kind of an exploit and is leveling the playing field isn't a bad change. Red 5 also lets us know that there is going to be a new artifact coming into the game. It is called Sinestro's Corrupted Power Ring artifact. It works for both damage and for controller roles, so it does something different for whichever role you're in. If you are in your damage role, it has the potential to summon Avatar of Will, who is Ion, and will provide extra damage when you are also doing damage. If you are in your controller role, you will be summoning, potentially, the Avatar of Fear, who is Parallax. And as you are doing damage, you will also be debuffing and decreasing damage taken. Red 5 also lets us know what our reward is going to be at the end of an event tab mission. It is going to be a brand new elite backup / henchman. It's not going to be the same as the previous one, so they're not focusing on healing this time. This one is specifically focusing on damage. It's going to summon 2 Green Lanterns and 1 Blue Lantern who are helping you to damage the enemy, which sounds fun. They also look really cool. It's going to be called the OAN Tactical Assault Support, and the Blue Lantern is going to be giving a 10% buff to yourself and your pets. Also, can we please get that Blue Lantern's head as a style piece? Because I need it. Volterra also held a little bit of a trivia contest. The questions were covering things specifically to do with the most recent episode, but also it referenced the blog posts. So in case it's something they do in the future, I would highly recommend that if you are interested in attempting to win these Mercian capes, which they have displayed for you to be able to see what you would receive if you were one of the winners of their trivia competition, I would highly recommend that you brush up on the blogs before you go to their lives, because some of the questions were only in the blog. Anyway, they also put up this code at the very end. I highly suspect that it is not something that is still available. It was only available for a very brief amount of time. They did reactivate it temporarily for some people who did miss out, who were on PC, I believe. But I would imagine that it is now deactivated. But that being said, I did want to show you guys because this is something that they may potentially do in the future also. So if you are interested in potentially getting something for free or winning a trivia competition and getting a Mercian cape or whatever it is they choose next time as a reward, yeah, you might want to attend their lives. I did think it was really cool that they gave us this code. It has allowed me to gain access to some replay badges on my free-to-play account, which is a location I would never have access to replay badges as they are a purchasable item from the marketplace and I do not put money into that account. And a stabilizer never goes astray. That is pretty awesome. So I hope I've covered everything in the live that is relevant. I tried to be as short and sweet as I can. We all know how I tend to ramble. And I hope you all have a good one.